Transformers has been adored by both adults and children alike ever since the franchise's conception way back in the early 80s. Over the past 30 odd years it's spawned countless toy lines, TV shows and movies which I actually kind of hated. And while I can't attest to being a mega fan, I did enjoy some Transformers cartoons when I was younger, and I have played several other Transformers games. And now comes Transformers Battlegrounds, a turn-based tactical game predominantly aimed at a younger audience, whose storyline once more focuses around the Allspark as you command Bumblebee, Optimus Prime and several other Autobots in an attempt to defend the planet from a Decepticon invasion. But is this the Transformers game fans have been waiting for? Let's dive into this review and find out. So Transformers Battlegrounds has two modes for you to choose from. Taking a look first at story mode, the game opens with a far-fetched plot concept which attempts to justify its turn-based strategy format. Basically, a bunch of Decepticons land in your town, Bumblebee rocks up and full-on blindsides one of them, and then the most annoying robot since Claptrap flies over and hoists you up into the air. Because you can now see the whole battlefield, for some reason you then get to direct the Transformers for the rest of the game. So after accepting this ludicrousy, we then run through a standard tutorial level which teaches us the basics of movement and combat. Now if you've played any turn-based strategies before, many of the game's elements will be very familiar to you. You play as the Autobots, or the goodies shall we say, and the Decepticons, or the baddies in this game mode, are the ones that you'll be fighting against. Each of you take turns to move characters about the battlefield, and while you only get 3 goodies to command, the Decepticons get a lot more baddies. However, apart from a few notable named Decepticons, most baddies have only got a few health points compared to you. So each turn you're able to spend 3 action points on moving and attacking. Depending on your selected Autobot, 1 AP will allow you to move a certain number of spaces, and attacking will cost a specific number of AP depending on the skill that you use. Now each Autobot comes with 2 abilities. The first is generally a basic ranged attack costing 1 AP to use, and the second is a more advanced ability which you can spend up to 3 AP to activate, with higher AP versions usually dealing more damage and causing additional status effects such as disarming, rooting enemies in place or knocking them back. Now there's some decent variety and versatility to abilities, but what I really don't understand is the developer's choice to only allow you to attack once per turn. It really only serves to dumb down combat, and I think allowing multiple attacks would have improved the game's combat by opening up many more strategical choices. Now if you end your turn early and don't use all of your AP, it doesn't go to waste and instead it fills your Energon bar seen on the left side of the screen. Doing this allows your Autobots to activate the special abilities. And these come in 2 forms, the first costing half an Energon bar and the second costing a full bar, and as with secondary abilities, the full bar version has improved effects. So the game's main campaign sees you working through 4 acts, each containing 5 levels, and it follows the journey of the Autobots as they attempt to recover the Allspark, find Optimus Prime and stop the Decepticon invasion. Now although the title is aimed at kids and you can expect a level of simplicity, I was disappointed to find the majority of levels followed the same format and were split into 2 halves. The first half sees you fighting through enemies whilst making your way to a checkpoint area. Decepticons constantly respawn and there's no reward for killing more of them, so you might as well make your way to the checkpoint as fast as possible. Following this, you're healed for a portion of your health, and the second half begins where you usually face off against a notable named Decepticon and a bunch of their cronies, and you have to just destroy them all to complete the level. Well over half of the game's levels follow this format, and I can't lie, I was already growing tired of the game before I'd even reached the end of the second act. After this, there's a little more variety to levels, but no real meaningful scenarios for you to engage in. Enemy AI in the game is also pretty simple, as they generally target the closest enemy to them, and often move so they're right on top of you, ending the turn without attacking. Now if I'm being honest, I'm not too sure why they chose turn-based strategy for a Transformers game. It's possibly one of the slowest paced genre of game, and as a kid I know that I'd have wanted to see some high octane action from a Transformers game. I assume they're hoping that they're going to get a new generation of kids into turn-based strategy games, but Transformers Battlegrounds simplifies level scenarios and gameplay mechanics far too much. When I was around 10 or 11 I absolutely loved the original XCOM game because of its depth. Upgrading your troops and base, researching aliens and new equipment, and random combat scenarios were all engaging and enjoyable. In this game though, all you have is new skills to unlock for each of your Autobots, which requires you to buy them from a store for spark points. This felt very similar to point earning mechanics found in other games, and I would have much preferred to have seen some sort of XP or level system to unlock new skills. Now don't get me wrong, the game isn't all bad. There's some engaging gameplay once you get the right combination of Autobots together, but in general levels just felt like a repetitive grind, and the game's storyline just couldn't do enough to keep me engaged and make me want to keep playing. When it comes to the game's visuals, they've gone for a cartoony aesthetic, and whilst the Transformers themselves look okay, their actual transformations between robot and vehicles generally have very few frames to them. So they pretty much just pop between forms, and despite the surrounding level environments being relatively simple in terms of both the design and textures, the game still suffers from frequent frame rate issues when the camera pans and when the action cam kicks in, as do many other games of this genre. Now audio wise things are not bad, we get some decent sound effects for attacks, and that classic transforming sound effect, and the game has some good voice acting apart from that incredibly annoying drone which carries you around. The game's music is also decent with some heroic sounding action music playing throughout battles. So moving on to the game's second mode, Arcade, we get 5 different game modes all available to play in both 1 or 2 player co-op mode, with each player commanding 2 Autobots each. And it's worth noting that the game doesn't feature any versus mode. Arcade modes include Capture the Flag, Energon Capture, which is a domination type game where you have to capture and hold Energon crates, Last Stand, which sees you fighting never-ending waves of Decepticons, Destruction, which requires you to destroy as many enemies as you can within 10 rounds, and finally Decepticon Grudge Match, where you get to play as 4 Decepticon characters against only 2 Autobots, which is a bit strange and offers very little challenge. Now you are able to build your team in this arcade mode from available Autobots, but for some reason your additional character skills are all locked, and you have to complete one map to unlock and move on to the next map. So in all, I can't really say that I enjoyed Transformers Battlegrounds much. It was a mediocre turn-based strategy game at best, and lacked the excitement that both I and no doubt Transformers fans expect. Oh, and I nearly forgot to mention that you can also buy some additional skins for £3.50 a pop. Wouldn't it be nice if games still had those things called unlockables? So now we come to rating the game. Now I rate games between 1 and 5 stars, with a shovelware stamp of approval reserved for the worst games on the eShop. This rating is based on my own personal opinion on the quality and quantity of a title's gameplay, and whether I think it offers value for money to potential buyers. And for a rating I'd give Transformers Battlegrounds 2 out of 5 stars. Transformers Battlegrounds gameplay is repetitive, its mechanics are pretty shallow, and while the storyline is mildly engaging and 2-player mode offers a little enjoyment, sadly they can't carry the title or help justify the $40 cost for the game. You can get Transformers Battlegrounds from the UK Switch eShop for £34.99, or from the US eShop for $39.99. Alternatively, the game's also available on Xbox One, PlayStation 4 and Steam. And that's it for this review of Transformers Battlegrounds. Hit that like button if it helped you out, and let me know your thoughts and opinions on the game in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to be notified of future Switch indie game reviews and content, and jump onto the Starseekers Discord server to say hello. For now though, I just want to say thanks once again for watching, and until next time, stay safe and game on.